Take a look at this loaf of bread. It feels soft, it smells fresh, it looks perfect. But here is the terrifying part. This bread was baked 6 months ago. In your kitchen, real bread turns into a rock in 48 hours. So how is this supermarket loaf still pillowy and moist? The answer isn't freshness. It is a hidden cocktail of industrial chemicals, human hair byproducts, and zombie enzymes that freeze food in time. Today, we are going to exposing deep into the factory to see how they trick your senses. You aren't eating a snack. You are eating a science experiment that was never meant to be digested. Once you see what is actually keeping this bread soft, you will never touch a standard loaf again. Most people think bread is just flour, water, salt, and yeast. That is how bread was made for thousands of years. But the bread on your counter is different. It is a science project. To make a loaf last 6 months, factories have to change the basic biology of the grain. They use a cocktail of ingredients that the human body was never meant to eat. The first secret is something called L Cysteine. This is a dough conditioner. It makes the bread stretchy so machines can process it faster. But where does it come from? In many cases, it is made from human hair or duck feathers. Factories buy huge amounts of hair from barbershops and treat it with acid to get this chemical. It is a cheap way to make bread soft. If you see E920 on a label, you might be eating a hair byproduct. Wait until you hear about the ghost ingredients that do not even show up on the label. Bread gets hard because of something called starch retrogradation. This is a fancy way of saying the water leaves the starch and the bread dries out. To stop this, factories use enzymes. These enzymes are like little scissors. They cut up the starch so it can never get hard. The problem is that these enzymes are often classified as processing aids. This means the company does not have to list them in the ingredients. You are eating them, but you do not know it. This leads us to the next suspect in our investigation, the anti-mold shield. If bread stays soft for 6 months, why doesn't it turn green? Mold loves bread. It is full of moisture and sugar. To stop mold, companies use Calcium Propionate. This is a salt that kills fungus. It is very effective. In fact, it is so effective that it can stop the bread from breaking down even after you eat it. Some studies show this chemical can cause kids to be restless or have trouble sleeping. It keeps the bread dead, so nothing can grow on it. But the mold killer is not the only thing keeping that loaf alive. Have you ever noticed that cheap bread feels like a sponge? Even if you squish it, it pops back up. This is because of emulsifiers like DATEM and SSL. These are industrial soaps. They bond the fat and water together in a way that never happens in nature. They create a glue that holds the bread together for months. Without these, the bread would crumble and fall apart within a week. New 2026 health alerts suggest these soaps might be washing away the protective lining of your gut, leading to permanent inflammation. You aren't just eating food, you are eating a structural foam. Now, think about the smell of a bakery. That fresh bread smell is often fake too. In modern grocery stores, that delicious aroma isn't coming from the oven. It is often a sensory marketing tactic. Companies use specialized machines to pump artificial fresh bread aerosols into the aisles. This chemical scent triggers your brain to produce saliva and feel hungry, making you trust a loaf that was actually baked in a factory hundreds of miles away, months ago. This fake smell is a hook designed to bypass your common sense. You think you are smelling quality, but you are actually smelling a laboratory-created fragrance designed to make you spend more. Companies use artificial flavors to make you think the bread was just baked. Real bread smells like fermented yeast. Industrial bread smells like a laboratory. They add these scents so your brain thinks the food is high quality. It is a trick to get you to put the bag in your cart. But the biggest trick of all is happening inside the bag before it even reaches the store. When the bread is packed, the factory sucks out all the oxygen. They replace it with carbon dioxide and nitrogen. This is called modified atmosphere packaging. It is like putting the bread in a time capsule. Without oxygen, bacteria cannot grow. The bread is sitting in a pressurized gas chamber. The second you open that bag at home, the timer finally starts. But by then, the bread might already be 3 months old. Why does this matter to you and your family? When you eat bread full of conditioners and preservatives, your stomach has to work 10 times harder. Real bread is easy to digest because the yeast has already broken down the gluten. Industrial bread has no fermentation time. It is faked with chemicals. This is why so many people feel bloated or tired after eating a simple sandwich. You are not just eating wheat. You are eating a list of stabilizers meant for a factory machine, not a human gut. We are just getting started. There is one ingredient used in almost all soft white bread that is actually banned in Europe and China. This ingredient is potassium bromate. It makes the dough stronger and helps it rise higher. It is a known carcinogen in lab animals. Most countries think it is too dangerous for food. But in the United States, it is still legal. Companies love it because it makes the bread look huge and fluffy for very little money. If your bread looks too perfect and too white, this might be why. But the problem goes deeper than just one chemical. Recent 2026 reports show that popular brands like Wonder Bread and Sara Lee are essentially prepackaged science experiments. To keep that signature squish for weeks on end, factories use high doses of calcium propionate. While it's great at killing mold, it's basically an antibiotic for your bread. When it enters your body, it doesn't stop working. It can disrupt your delicate gut microbiome, leading to the exact bloating and brain fog we talked about earlier. Even brands that claim to be clean label, like Nature's Own, are facing scrutiny this year. Investigative tests in early 2026 found trace levels of glyphosate, a powerful weed killer, in multiple artisan-style supermarket loaves. These companies use modern wheat that is sprayed right before harvest to dry it out faster. So while you think you're buying a premium, perfectly crafted loaf, you might be ingesting agricultural toxins that your liver was never meant to process. These toxins, combined with zombie enzymes that aren't even required to be on the label, create a product that is biologically unrecognizable to your digestive system. Remember the rehook from earlier? The reason your bread stays soft is not because it is fresh. It is because it is chemically frozen in time. So, what can you do? How do you find real bread? You have to become a detective at the grocery store. Look for bread with only 4 or 5 ingredients. If you see a word you cannot pronounce, put it back. Real bread should get hard in 3 days. If it doesn't, something is wrong. Look for sourdough that says long fermented. This means the bacteria did the work, not the chemicals. The bread industry wants you to believe that soft means fresh. But now you know the truth. Soft bread that lasts 6 months is a ghost of real food. It is a mix of hair proteins, industrial soaps, and anti-mold salts. The next time you walk down the bread aisle, look at the expiration dates. If the date is months away, you know exactly what is hiding inside that plastic bag. Your health is worth more than a soft sandwich. Stay tuned, because next we are investigating the healthy juices that have more sugar than a soda. Stop buying the lie. Start reading the labels. The case of the 6-month bread is officially closed.